Hello everyone, it's Nicole Steele of The Joyful Stamper, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and it's time for Saturday sketch number 812. So every week on my blog on Saturdays, I take the card sketch that Splitcoaststampers has for their Wednesday challenge, and I make a card with it, and I write up a PDF tutorial, and I also do a video to go along with it. So for the Splitcoaststampers card sketch number 812, this is what I came up with. Isn't he cute? I just got the ZANY ZEBRAS stamp set this week, and I could not wait to make a pink zebra, just like I saw in the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. So if you want to see a picture of that card sketch, just head to my blog, thejoyfulstamper.com, and you'll find it there. And you can pin it too, so you can create your own little library of card sketches, which is really handy when your mojo has gone away. So we're going to start with a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of Melon Mambo cardstock, and I scored it down the middle at 4 1/4 inches. So we'll fold that in half. Now this week's sketch had a strip of paper going on the diagonal. So I took a piece of Just Jade Designer Series paper, and this is from the 6 by 6 inch in color Designer Series paper pack. And I just cut it, it's 6 by 6 inches, I cut it in half at 3 inches. And I'm gonna lay it on the diagonal just like that, and it will exactly cover my card. And I'm just gonna go ahead and trim off the edges with my paper snip. Now you're gonna wanna make sure that you don't put glue all the way from end to end, because remember, some of it is going to hang off of your card base. So you don't wanna leave too much stickiness there. Okay, and I just used multi-purpose liquid glue for that, and you'll see it hangs off there a little bit of glue peeked over the edge, but not too bad. And I'm going to take paper snips to cut that excess away. Now I like to save my paper scraps, but these little pieces are going to be an odd shape, and I'm gonna throw them out. Some of you may find that scary to throw them out, but yeah, I know I could punch little hearts and stars from that, but I probably won't. Okay, so we've got that going, and the next thing I am going to do is I have a Whisper White piece of cardstock here, and I used the Stitch So Sweetly dies to die cut this piece. I also used the Tasteful Textiles 3D embossing folder to emboss that. I don't know if you can see that texture. I embossed it first, and then I die cut it second. That way I didn't smash that stitching detail around the edge there. And I already did that for you because most of you know how to do that kind of thing. So, okay, we've got that, and now what we're going to do is stamp our cute little zebra. So I took the one that's leaping, and I'm going to use my Melon Mambo ink pad and ink him up. And I'm going to stamp him down in the corner here of this. Now to color him in, I'm going to take a blender pen, and it's a clear solution that fills this. And I'm just going to go over him, and you can see that my blender pen is picking up the ink from the stamped image, and it's filling in those spaces for me. So this is a really quick, easy way to color. And I'm going to go over his little hoofs a little more heavily to blend that more. I've got his tail. The one thing you want to be careful of though with your blender pen is you don't want to overwork your paper, meaning you don't want to go over and over and over again, because you will notice that the cardstock will start to ball up or pill like a sweater. So just use your blender pen to just go over it quickly. You can also take your blender pen and dip it straight into your ink pad and then apply color that way. But I'm going to be honest, I've never mastered that technique. I always get lines and streaks, and I just don't like the way it looks. So, but there are people that are really good at that. I prefer the simplicity of just stamping it in a colored ink and then using my blender pen to go over it, and that fills in the color quite enough for me. then whenever you want to clean your blender pen, or if you want to switch between colors, just take it and scribble it on your scratch paper until it starts coming out clear, and then you're good to go. So you don't need a separate blender pen for each color that you have. Okay, now yes, I am going to cut out my zebra. There are no dies for these cute little zany zebras, but it's all right because they're not very hard to cut. You got these super sharp, super maneuverable paper snips here, and they work just fine going around these spaces. And this zebra, he doesn't have really very many tight little corners or anything like that. His tail's probably the trickiest part here. So, and even that's not that bad. I know hand trimming isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I like it, so I don't mind doing it. I love all the other little zebra images that are in this set. It's so cute. And the thing is, I don't normally do cutesy. I like vintage, shabby, distressed stuff, but these little zebras, I didn't have any stamps that were zebras. Nothing like this. So when I saw it in the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog, I was like, I have got to have this. Have to. I was thinking of all the fun birthday cards I can make for my niece and my twin nephews, and just adorable. Because look, I made him a little bit girlier by making him pink, or her pink, but I could change up the colors and make it more for a little boy. Could go anywhere with this. Okay, let's bring the card back in. So we're going to have him leaping right there. But next we're going to stamp our sentiment. I'm going to show you a little trick to lengthen your die. So again, I'm going to use a Stitch So Sweetly die to die cut my sentiment. But you'll see this is the size of it. I'm using the smallest rectangle in that die set. But I actually need it to be a little bit longer because I'm going to use the Kick Up Your Heels sentiment. And you can see it's slightly longer than that die. So I'm going to show you a way to lengthen that. So let me grab here. I know Stampin' Up! Doesn't have this embossing buddy anymore, but I wish they would, because it is such a handy tool. I think really all it is maybe a pouch filled with cornstarch. So if you're handy with some sewing, you could probably stitch together a quick little pouch for yourself. It just, what that does is it takes the static off of this paper, so that when you have the natural oils from your fingers, you know, when you touch the paper, the natural oils from your fingers aren't going to pick up the embossing powder, because this embossing powder will stick to the Versamark ink, and if the oils from your fingers are also on there, it'll stick to that too. Okay, so we got our white embossing powder on there. We're going to turn on our heat gun, and we're going to heat this up until we see it get smooth and shiny. Right now it's a little bit granular because it's powder. And you can heat it, if you see your paper start to curl, heat from the back side or the underside of the cardstock, and just keep going back and forth, and that'll help it straighten out. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to put my lid back on my embossing powder because goodness knows I'm going to hit it and it's going to fly everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my embossing machine. I have a Cuttlebug. It has been my faithful friend for 17 years. I have loved it. Stampin' Up! Is introducing their own machine, an embossing and die cutting machine. Demonstrators can get it August 4th. Customers can get it September 1st. Okay, so what I'm going to do to lengthen this, I'm going to put this over my sentiment like that where I want it to go. But then I'm going to take my top cutting plate and I'm going to put it only over where I want it to cut. So the part that's going to get, where my cardstock's going to get cut is the part that's underneath this top cutting plate, which means this part is not going to get cut. And then I'm going to run it through my machine. Okay, I'll show that to you. So do you see how it only cut that part that was under the plate? Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to trim this paper so I can see it a little bit better. I am going to take this die and I'm going to line it up with what I already cut. So let's see, let me pull this off. You can see it. I'm going to line it up with what I already cut there. See, just like that, fitting it into that die. And I'm going to have to move it down a little bit more because I want it to go, I want it to cut out that full sentiment. So then I'm going to line it up. And I know some of you might be going, well, that seems really, really fussy. It is, but it's a really clever way to make your die long enough. Now I'm going to put the cutting plate only on that back half there that needs cut. And then I'm going to run it through. And now, there you go. I made it longer. And I only needed it a hair longer, you can see. But what a neat trick, right? I know it might require a little bit of fussing or whatever, but it's really not that big of a deal. And it helps you get a lot more mileage out of your dies, because now you can make these as long as you need them to be. You're not limited to just this actual shape there. So first time I saw that trick, it blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. It was just crazy. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and glue this stuff on. This is going to get glued on with some multi-purpose liquid glue. And I don't like to put my glue all the way to the edge because when I push it down, I don't want it to ooze out everywhere. And I'm gonna put this a little over towards the right edge of my card there. Okay, and now these pieces are going to get put on with Stampin' Dimensionals. This is my most used adhesive, and they're not very expensive, so when you're ordering, it's easy to just throw in a couple packs, and that way you make sure that you never ever run out of them. We don't want any stamping tragedies. We want stamping to be fun. And I'm going to put my happy little zebra right there. And I love how he's leaping like that. Oh my goodness, doesn't he just make you smile? How could you not help but smile when you see this little zebra there? So cute. Now, I'm going to use what I think is the smallest stamp in the world. And it is these two stars right here. But look how tiny that is. I don't think I have any stamps that are smaller than that, except maybe a strawberry stem. I don't know. This is very small. And I'm going to stamp a star border along here. And I'm going to go in all different directions. And I find it easiest to turn my paper rather than my stamp. So that's what I'm going to do. Put a little sprinkling of stars there. And I'm also going to put some under here too. There we go. Just adds a little fun, whimsical touch to this. And that was also in Melon Mambo ink. And now I'm going to take some Misty Moonlight ribbon. You guys, this ribbon that is in all 5 of the new in colors this year, it is incredibly soft and incredibly easy to tie. I was absolutely shocked when I got my rolls. Yes, I got one in each color. And I was just shocked at how easy it was to tie. And how nice it feels when you're tying it. My ribbon scissors, where are they? Here they are. Okay. Oh, those are the wrong ones. My ribbon scissors are the ones with the ribbon tied around it. Yes, Nicole, let's pay attention. Why don't we? Okay, and I'm gonna stick that ribbon on with a glue dot. Glue dots are my preferred adhesive when I'm sticking on ribbon. And we're gonna put that right there, like that. And for the finishing touch, actually, no, we're gonna do something else. We gotta stamp the inside too. Kick up your heels. It's time to celebrate. We're gonna emboss and heat this inside. Now there is a happy birthday sentiment in this set too. I chose to use It's Time to Celebrate because it gives me more options than just a birthday card. But if you know you're making a birthday card for somebody, you can go ahead and use that. Sprinkle that on. pan, put the lid on, and we're gonna melt this. There we go. Okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use this is my old paper piercer, take your pick tool, whatever you've got. We're gonna add some fun little in color embellishment, or can't get the word out, enamel dots right here. And I'm gonna put one in Magenta Madness, and I'm gonna put a couple in Misty Moonlight. So there we go. So that is this week's Saturday sketch card. And again, you will find the sketch graphic. You'll also find a step-by-step written PDF tutorial to make this card with the dimensions, and that's on my blog, thejoyfulstamper.com. So thank you so much for watching today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so that you're notified every time I post a video. Thank you for joining me today, and if you need any Stampin' Up! Supplies at all, be sure to go to my store. The link's in the description, and I would be so happy to be your demonstrator. All right, thank you so much for watching. Bye.